Hey everyone, good evening. How are you guys doing? It's good to see everyone. Hey, Just Pam. Good to have you with us. Biscuits and gravy, huh? Hey, Judy. Good to see you from Charlotte, or from Charleston, sorry. Hey, Tech Death. Always good to have you here. I know you're tired. I'm sorry. Hey, John. Good to have you. Thank you for coming. Hey, Miss Thang. How are you? So glad that you could join us tonight. Hey, CJK. Always good to have you here. Thank you. Hey, Marlo Mac. Oh, I'm so glad you made the live. That's awesome. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Hey, Digital. Good to see you as always. Thank you for joining. Oh, I am feeling better. I'm very much feeling better. Hey, AJ. So good to see you. Always good to have AJ in the house. I am better. I had a really good day today. Still doing my breathing treatments, but I'm feeling really better. Oh, thank you. I didn't do anything with it today. It's kind of a mess. But thank you, Miss Thang. I'm so glad to have you guys all here with me. Anything going on out there, guys? I see that Murder Sheet dropped another episode. Did you guys get a chance to listen? Anybody get a chance to listen to it? I did. We'll talk a little bit about it. So, another day in Delphi. What'd you think, Miss Thang? What was your take on it? I'm curious. Hey, Melodramatic Monday. It's okay. It's just Tuesday. You're not too late. I just kind of wondered if anybody had any takeaways from what they listened to, or, if you just felt certain things, whatever, but I thought it was interesting that they interviewed someone that I'm not familiar with. I've never heard of this person. I just thought it was interesting. There's a lot of chatter over on Reddit about it, I will say. So it's funny because people have such deep opinions rooted in this case. And just because someone has someone come on their show or their podcast, whatever, and they talk to them or interview them, and everybody just thinks all these things about these people. They're like, people are being super negative about the fact that nobody knows who this person is, what makes him an expert, why would you be talking to him? Hi, Sally Ann. And I just thought it was funny. And that they had this guy that has supposedly been following the case since the beginning, as many of us have, and longer than they have, by the way, because they have not been in the case that long. And even though Kevin says he remembers hearing about it when it first happened, because he lived in Indiana at the time. But anyway, with that being said, there's just a lot of negativity over on Reddit about it because they were comparing it to me having Skip on, because who's Skip? Why would you have him on? Why would you talk to him and give him a platform? And the same they feel about this guy because nobody knows who he is. And I'm just like, people are so judgmental. A lot of people have really good insight and ideas about this case, and nobody said they're an expert. I've never prefaced whenever I've had Skip on that he's an expert at anything. He's a person who cares about the case, who's followed the case for a long time, has really good insight, and that's why I had him on. He's a good person, and he's made mistakes on the case. He's said that. He's owned up to it. I just think it's crazy. So with that being said, that, the guy that they had on and they interviewed, he had a lot of very intelligent things to say. I thought his take on the whole Ron Logan search warrant was really relative. Demi Johnson has been covering Delphi since almost the very beginning. And she said that Kagan knows who Bridge Guy is, and law enforcement knows that. That's basically what she said last week. And she's the one who broke everything. She's the one who broke the Anthony Schatz story. She's the one who revealed that Kagan was behind the Anthony Schatz profile, and she left Indiana for Florida. She is now going to be in Florida on TV down there. So she's not here anymore. And I believe that that's probably one reason why she agreed to speak with them. So, hey, Jennifer, welcome. Thank you. Hey, KA. And I just wanted to bring that up because I thought that was pertinent. I get so tired of the behavior in this community sometimes. It really takes a toll, I think, on all of us when we listen to some of this negativity, when all people are trying to do is bring some sort of information that they may have, or that ideas of things that they've thought about that maybe some of us haven't. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. I firmly believe that there is a faction out there that does not want this case solved. I don't think that I just believe it. And I also believe that there's just trolls. There are just people who want to create havoc wherever they go. And hey, Jane from the country. Hey, Corgi Mama. Thanks, guys, for coming. And so I think that, all of us can be respectful of one another without treating each other like, I don't know. I just get really upset when I'm over on Reddit sometimes about how people talk to each other and how they seem to act like they're so knowledgeable about stuff, and they don't know any more than the rest of us know. It's real easy to sit here and pretend like we have all of these quote unquote inside sources, but people are going to really question that when it's like, how inside are they? If police don't know about them, I don't consider them to be too inside. That's just, my opinion. Pam, thank you. I'm glad that I'm one of them that you've chosen to watch. And thank you for that. I did too. I distanced myself from some people. I definitely cut some ties with some people because I just felt like I needed to do that for my own sanity. I couldn't live in the drama anymore that was going on around the case. And I just felt that that was not doing me any good and it wasn't doing the case any good. I didn't want to be a part of that. So, Miss Thang is right. It's been 5 years for the family. It's actually, soon will be 5.5 years. And the minor witnesses in 2017 are now adults, and we are adults. They need to release more of the recording or give regular updates. I don't think we're going to ever see regular updates on this case or any case in Indiana. They have a strict code among ISP in the state of Indiana on how they report and how they disseminate information to the public. And they feel less is more. They feel the less they give you, the better it is for their cases. Trust me, I don't agree with that. I think that plays into their solvability rate, which is in the toilet. They're number 48 out of 50 states in solving murders. I just feel like, hey, Hoosier, good to see you. Thanks for stopping in. Corgi, I wish I knew why ISP is so rigid. But I wish that they would see that it's not working for them. To have that low solvability rate in the country, it to me would be a reason I would want that to change. And at some point, you have to look at how you're doing things and reevaluate how you go about starting to research cases, investigate cases, and seek outside help in certain cases. I know that it's not commonplace for jurisdictions to really want to seek help because I guess in some way it makes them look less when they do that. But I think that's ridiculous. And especially when we're talking about cases that involve children and cases of murder, when someone has lost their life, I would think that those cases would go to the forefront of all other cases. And you would want to work those so hard and come to resolution for their family as well as from the victims. And it very well could be ego. I mean, who knows? But so yeah, I get on my soapbox, Hoosier. I'm sorry. Sometimes I do, and there's just times when I have to vent a little bit. I hate to do that. I've had people tell me that I need to do more venting, but I don't want people to think that they came here just to be bashed or listen to me bash, because I really don't like doing it. And especially against law enforcement. But I really think that we need to look at, they need to take a look at what's going on. Now, with everything that we know, we're going to get into the case here in just a minute. But just so you guys know, we do know a lot. We actually have been given a lot of information on this case recently that can send us back to the beginning and re-examine things and look at them more logically, I think. And yeah, Hoosier, they are 48th out of the 50 states. So yeah, they're rock bottom in the toilet. And it's terrible. And I pay attention because, I watch the press conferences, and I see Superintendent Doug Carter with all of this emotion and almost to tears over the 4 Flora girls, over Abby and Libby, and how he has these sticky notes, one at work, one at home, with all 6 names on it. And he sees it when he wakes up, he sees it when he goes to bed. I get all that. I'm not saying that they don't have, and they're not emotionally invested in the case, because I do believe they are. What kind of human being would they be if they weren't? I would hate to go there. So I do think they're emotionally invested, but I don't think that they are doing a service by being so close-lipped. And you have to, and it has. He's a good person, but he's a politician. And these cases shouldn't be political. They shouldn't be politicized at all. This should be about justice, period. Thanks, Digital, for answering that question. Miss Thang, I didn't mean to ignore you. But yeah, Paul Holes was the detective that had the phenotype technology that they used to solve the Golden State murders. He is notorious for, well, I don't know if I would say he's notorious. He's famous for the cases that he's worked on, and he is a really good profiler. He's got some amazing books out there. I'm reading one of them. I'm almost finished with his book. That gnat that was here the other night is back in this room. I can't believe that. But anyway, so somebody posted a picture, I think it was on Reddit, of him standing on the Delphi, on the Monon High Bridge. I don't know when that photo was taken. I don't know if he was actually in Delphi or if it was another time he was in Delphi. I do know that somebody mentioned that he had offered his services to Indiana on the Delphi case. And at the time, I believe he was told that he wasn't needed. So I don't know if maybe that's changed and he came back. None of us seem to know, because I don't know when that picture or the photograph of him was taken. He's been here before. That wasn't the first time he was in Delphi. If it's the second time, because I know he's been here before. So it would be wonderful if we could get Paul Holes to work on this case, because he knows so much. And what did he say about the Delphi DNA? Well, what he said was this, and he talked about this in an interview at CrimeCon or in February, one or the other. But I saw the interview with him, and he said that he feels that the DNA that they have in the Delphi case is a mixture of the perpetrator and the girls. And because of the manner in which he believes the girls were most likely killed, that it was an extremely bloody crime scene. That's been told to us since we had the Ron Logan search warrant released, that it was a very bloody crime scene. So if it was a bloody crime scene, more than likely, the majority of that blood is going to be victims and not the perpetrator. So when you have a large volume of that and a small volume of theirs, the person who commits the act, they get mixed together. And then when they try to do DNA testing and pull out the DNA profile of the perpetrator, it's nearly impossible. And that's basically what he said. He at this point, he does not feel, with the mixture and the technology that they have today, that they'll get very far with that. Now, technology is moving fast, and especially in the DNA world. They're learning new things, new techniques, smaller amounts of DNA all the time to get profiles. So we can only hope that they will be able to use that at some point. One of the other things that you absolutely have to worry about with DNA is how much DNA do you have? And you don't want to use up all of your sample, because that becomes obviously a problem. You can't be testing and testing and testing. You'll use up all your sample. And then if something happens down the line, then you will not have enough DNA to test. And then you're out of, you've shot yourself in the foot, so to speak. So, hey, Lipsha, good to see you. Hey, Brian, good to have you. Brian says that he heard he was working on an upcoming Delphi special. Let's hope so. I would love that. I can't say enough about him. He's really so well, that Hoosier. And like, if you're committing a crime with a knife, sometimes, depending on what type of knife it is, if it doesn't have a guard at the bottom, sorry, my hair's on my mouth. If you don't, some knives have guards at the bottom of the blade by the handle, so that your hand doesn't slide up the knife if you're using it. And sometimes if knives don't have that, the perpetrator can cut themselves badly, actually. But I just don't feel that DNA is going to be what solves this case. I haven't for a long, long time. I'm glad they have DNA, because it helps them rule people out. They don't have enough to make a positive identification. Because if they did, I feel that it's quite possible that they would have by now. We all know that there's ways to get DNA from possible suspects without their knowledge. We've all seen that. There are ways that they can do that. So, but, oh, cool, Sally. Sally says it's called Paul Hull's HLN Real Life Nightmares. So that makes sense. That would be why he was there, because, he's getting ready to do this case in his show. So that's cool. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm late and I've done a lot of talking and I shouldn't have, and I'm sorry. Let's do our missing persons cases first, please. Bear with me just a moment. I want to get I'm going to share my screen with you. So the first one that we're going to look at is Dulce Maria Alavez, and she went missing in Bridgeton, New Jersey, Monday, September 16th, 2019. She was born April 25th, 2014. She has long brown hair, brown eyes. She was approximately 3 feet tall and weighed 60 to 70 pounds. She is female and she is Hispanic. She's actually mixed, white and Hispanic. The FBI is offering a reward of up to $5,000 for information that leads to her whereabouts, and additional reward money could be available. She was 5 years old when she was last seen on the afternoon of Monday, September 16th, 2019, while playing at the Bridgeton City Park behind Bridgeton High School in Bridgeton, New Jersey. She was wearing a yellow shirt with a koala on the front of it, black and white pants with butterflies and flowers on them, and white dress sandals. And if you have any information concerning this case, please contact the FBI's toll-free tip line at 1-800-CALL-FBI and select option 4, and then select option 8. And you can also go to any FBI local field office or text your information to tip 411, subtext Bridgeton. They also are asking for anyone with photos or videos from Bridgeton City Park on September 16th, 2019 to upload them to the following site. So that's Miss Alavez. Sorry, I said her name wrong. She was a cute little girl. Just a cute, sweet little girl. And so sad. Hold on a second. Stop this. What I was able to find out about her, hold on one second. They had an update in January of this year, and she has an unclaimed reward of $75,000 at this time, and they continue, investigators are continuing to treat this case with the utmost priority, and they are still getting tips. And the family is still pleading with anyone who has any information to please contact them. But the FBI agent that's following the case, or is the head agent on the case, said that they just added a new agent to the case because they needed fresh eyes. He told Mrs. Perez that they were not going to stop looking and that they were going to have more people with them as time went on. But they won't talk about the investigation and any of the new federal involvement in the case because the FBI is highly involved in this case. I think that happens in these cases, and sometimes we don't know how involved they are, and I do believe that they are involved heavily in Delphi, just so you guys know. So nobody seems to know. There were 2 suspects that emerged in her disappearance. A Hispanic man who was 5 feet 8 inches tall, about 30 to 35 years old, who had acne, but they found nobody. They can't find anybody that matches that description. They do believe she's still alive, and because they have found no evidence to prove otherwise. So that's what's going on with her. I certainly hope that her family gets some resolution soon. It's been 2 years, almost 3 soon. And it's just got to be horrible to not know what happened to your child. I just can't imagine. So since last time I missed 2 of the missing persons. So we're going to do one more tonight, and this is the other one. Her name is Lina Sardar Cahill. She disappeared December 20th of last year, 2021, in San Antonio, Texas. She has brown hair, brown eyes, approximately 4 feet tall. She weighed approximately 55 pounds. She's female, and she's white. She was last seen on the afternoon of December 20th at a playground at an apartment complex, Villas del Cabo, located in the vicinity of the 9400 block of Fredericksburg Road in San Antonio, Texas. She was last seen wearing a black jacket, a red dress, and black shoes. Lina has straight shoulder-length hair. If you have any information, please contact the San Antonio Police Department at 210-207-7660. You may also contact your local FBI office or the nearest American embassy or consulate. Now, Lina, her case is a little bit different. Her parents and her migrated to the U.S. from Afghanistan in 2019, and they came to San Antonio, which is where they were living. And she was out playing on her playground at the apartment complex where they left, or where they lived. And the leads in the case have completely, almost totally slowed down. The police do say that the hopes of finding Lina alive have dwindled because of how long it's been that she has now been missing. And he said it's more important to be candid than to give false hope. And he's really angry because he said nobody disappears into thin air, but it seems as though she has. And he said that something happened to her, but they just can't discover what it was. The San Antonio Police Department Special Victims Unit is handling her case, and they are wondering if she has been kidnapped or if this is just another missing persons case. They're not really sure if there was any proof of an abduction, but they're treating it as so. The FBI is also involved in this case, and they deployed a dive team to look for the child in an area that was located not far from the family's apartment complex. However, they have been absolutely no apparent signs of this missing girl. And the Islamic Center of San Antonio increased its reward for the safe return of Lina by $20,000 in February. So her total reward is up to $170,000. She has brown hair, brown eyes, and she was just a toddler playing on the playground when she vanished. So that's Lina's story. Let's hope and pray that they come up with something that, Hoosier, thank you so much for your super sticker. I so appreciate that. Thank you for supporting my channel. Hi, DGR Dave. Welcome. Good to see you. So those are the missing person cases for this week. It's really sad that these are just happenstance. These cases happen every day in our country. These children go missing, and it's so sad. It truly is. I mean, you can't even take your eyes off of your kids for one moment. You just can't, because those predators are out there, and they are willing to take them in broad daylight. So when I made up the show, when I went over and just tried to decide what I was going to do for the show tonight, I wanted to go back to the beginning, because I've been wondering out loud a lot on whether or not we're looking at this case wrong. And I do believe that we are. And I believe that there's a lot of narrative that's changed in the case as of lately. I believe more and more that people don't want to believe what law enforcement is telling us. And for that, they discount what law enforcement has blatantly told us. They discount what's been in affidavits, what has been in search warrants, pointing to where the trail or where the case is headed. And CJK, you're so welcome. it's something that I really feel we need to talk more about, the missing, because there's so many out there. Um, I'm terrible. I'm a helicopter grandmother. You ask my grandsons. They're like, they are. They're always at me about me being so overprotective of them. But, you know, I've often said that when people are overprotective of you, it's because they love you. So I think that that's, I think that that's where that goes to. um, I see that my guys are working on getting their jam session together in my chat as I look over there. Thanks, Tech Death. I expect you guys to get that together soon. We want to have a party. I'm going to have a show where I have Gonzo and Tech Death Hippie and whoever else wants to jam with them. It's fine with me. Come on the show and we're going to get some really good live music. So I thought that that would be a fun show to do, and I'm looking forward to that. Just take a little lightness out of the heaviness of all the things we cover every day. So going back to the beginning, and we're going to talk about a couple of different things first. I wanted to go over with you guys child trafficking statistics, because I think we're looking at, in my mind, I think we're looking, or possibly looking at least one or two possibilities here. And I know that it's been talked about a lot over the years, and a lot of people had, early on especially, dismissed the idea that the girls may have been trafficked, or that that was the purpose, was to traffic them, kidnap them, abduct them, and a human trafficking ring was after them. The other thought was that it was, as we know, a child sexual abuse material ring, a CSAM ring. And I think we've all found out that that's very possible, because there is one operating in Indiana, and it looks to be the largest one in the history of the state. So with those two things and that bit of knowledge, I was thinking to myself, well, let's go back and look at some statistics, because you know me, I always think that my statistics always make me feel better when I'm researching stuff and I get to see an idea of what's going on. So I found it very interesting to find out that the average age of children who are trafficked is between the ages of 11 and 14. Abby and Libby fall right into that mix. Family members most often traffic children under the age of 11. I did not know that. %74 of all trafficking cases involve sex trafficking, and the majority of those involved pimp-controlled prostitution. One of the things that I found out when I was doing my research the last couple days on this topic was that people in general, as a society here in our country, we have a different understanding or idea about all of this. For one, it's almost taboo to talk about it. It's gotten better over the years, but a lot of people want to just bury their heads in the sand and pretend that it's not happening. You hear people say things like, well, boys aren't going to be trafficked. Why would they want boys? Boys are trafficked. And sometimes the boys are trafficked to turn them into predators and to turn them into pimps and traffickers. And I didn't know that. I was absolutely blown away when I was reading all that. The Department of Justice and NCMEC, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, have tons of resources out there if you want to read up on some of this stuff. It's really hard to listen to and to read it. They come from all backgrounds, kids who are trafficked. It's not just low-income children. It's not just one race versus another race of children. It's just a wide range, a wide span. They are not just trafficked within the United States. A lot of times these kids are taken out of the country. And again, kids are brought into the country, so from other countries. Obviously, that's smuggling them, and it's against the law for sure, not to mention the trafficking. But they lure these kids with promises of school and work and better lives and all different kinds of things they use to lure them. They are professional. They groom these kids. Some of them work online with these kids for a long time, talking to them, gaining their trust until they finally can convince the child to meet with them. And then that's when the meeting goes bad. That's when the child is put into the most danger, and that's usually when they're kidnapped or abducted. Hey, DGR Dave, thank you so much for your super sticker. So much appreciated. Thank you for supporting my channel. The United Nations Office on Drugs and Crimes reports that the percentage of child victims has risen continually for the last 10 years. So it just keeps going up. We just keep getting more victims and more victims. Of every 3 child victims, 2 are girls and 1 is boys. Hey, Copfax. Hi, Perry. Trafficking is a $1 billion business. Yes. And it is something that people in society don't want to admit to, because it's such an unbelievable thing, I think. A lot of us are like, this can't possibly be going on right under our noses. But I'm here to tell you that it is. The U.S. government says that there's 600,000 to 800,000 women, children, and men bought and sold across international borders every year and exploited for forced labor, commercial sex. I mean, it's crazy. To think in our day and age that this is going on, and it's got to stop. We've got to get a handle on it. And it seems like it's so big and so large. How do we do that? 50% of the victims that I just described to you are children. 76% of transactions for sex with underage girls starts on the internet. So the internet is where they are going to find these victims? UNICEF has said that 2 million children are subjected to prostitution in the global commercial sex trade. There are 20.9 million victims of trafficking worldwide, and that was just as of 2012. Jane from the country, thank you so very much for your super sticker. I so appreciate that. And they have said that there's 1.5 million victims in the United States alone. Human trafficking has surpassed the illegal sales of arms. Stop and think about that. Trafficking will surpass the illegal sale of drugs in the next few years. They have found out that trafficking people, as Perry just told us, is far more lucrative of a business. Thanks, Jennifer, for your super sticker. Thank you so much. Miss Thang says, I saw a movie once where the traffickers used young, cute boys to form relationships with teen girls. Once the trust was gained, they lured them right into the trap. Sounds exactly like what may have happened to Libby. Drugs are used once they are gone. Victims of child trafficking can be used and abused over and over. A $32 billion a year industry, human trafficking is on the rise, and it is in all 50 states. All 50 states. 4.5 million of trafficked persons are sexually exploited. Up to 300,000 Americans under the age of 18 are lured into the commercial sex trade every year. It's so, so sad. The average age of a victim enters trafficking is 11 to 14 years old, and approximately 80% are women and children bought, sold, and imprisoned in the underground sex service industry. I mean, I didn't even realize that there was an underground sex service industry in our country. It's just mind-blowing. The average lifespan of these victims is reported to be 7 years. 7 years. They're found dead from attack, abuse, HIV, and other STDs, malnutrition, overdoses, or suicide. I mean, that in itself just blew me away. And we know that the largest at-risk group of children are those who run away from home. They're the ones who are more at risk because they're out there on the streets alone, and those are the ones that get targeted. They're trying to find shelter and food and clothing, and it's easy to lure them. And the reason children are targeted by these traffickers is because they're easier to manipulate than adults. And it's just something that, again, it's just crazy to me. But these kids are often physically and sexually abused. They have distinctive medical and psychological needs that have to be addressed before advancing in the formative years of adulthood. The damage that are done to these children is unbelievable. And I know that everybody's like, well, when they find them, thank God they're alive. You know, they have years and years of therapy and medical attention that they're going to need to even begin to try to recover from what they have been through and been through hell. And I think I just read it down in Texas that they rescued 45. They found 45 children from some sex ring down there that they were able to rescue. And then, of course, we all heard recently about the human beings that were found down in Texas in the tractor trailer that all didn't make it. So it's happening every day. You know, they're being promised lives, a new place. You know, everybody wants to go to America because, you know, America is the land of the free and all of that. And, you know, they buy into the American dream. And it's not the American dream, it's the American nightmare. It's just, it's sad. So let's see. I didn't realize this, but there are actual professional brokers out there. That's all they do is broker these children. I was absolutely disgusted to find that out. I mean, I know that we have people that do all kinds of things in the drug trade and all of that, but to find out that there's actually people out there that this is what they do for their living, and they do it on the backs of these children is just, I can't even tell you. And sadly, with saying all of that, when they are caught and they are arrested, they basically get slapped hands on the wrists because, I'm sorry, we just saw it today. When Giselle Maxwell got sentenced, 20 years. I wonder how many years she's going to actually serve of that sentence. I was disgusted that was all that they sentenced her to. And again, you know, it's not the judge's fault. They have to follow the law. They have to follow the law that has been set up for the punishment of these crimes. And that's what we were talking about the other night when we were discussing what do we do when we're so angry about what these people are getting and the sentences that are being imposed. We have people going to jail for life for drug offenses, for offenses where they may have been in possession of marijuana, some kind of huge amount or whatever, and they go to jail for life. And we're letting somebody who groomed and abused children go to jail for 20 years. And I guarantee you, I'll be surprised if she serves 5. I'll bet you. I would be really surprised if she ends up serving 5 years. We have to work on our legislatures. We have to talk to our senators. We have to talk to our representatives. We have to get out there. We have to have a voice. We have to start telling them this isn't good enough. We demand better. We want stricter penalties for these people. If they find out that they're going to go to jail forever for this, it could deter some from getting involved in it. It's everywhere. SD, it is, but it's everywhere. It's on every continent and every country. Nobody is safe from it. So that was the thing I wanted to talk about with the child trafficking and the statistics around it, because I thought to myself, was that what's going on? Is there a trafficking aspect or part of this case? And I've heard other YouTubers talk about it. I've heard other Redditors bring it up and talk about it over the years. But sadly, most people want to dispel that because they think, this is small town, Midwest Indiana. You're not going to have that. Trafficking doesn't happen here. I think Perry, Cop Facts, has a really good handle on this. He did an amazing film on it. You need to go to his channel and watch his short film that he did on trafficking, on human trafficking, because it is extremely eye-opening and it really leaves you thinking strongly about what's happening in this country and all over the world. So I was asking myself when I was researching, what is it that we need to know about how does the FBI go about tracking down child pornography predators or child sexual abuse material predators? I hate using the word pornography because it just doesn't, it makes it seem like it's something that it's not. Millions of images of sexually abused children are traded with like-minded predators all over the U.S. and beyond. Special correspondent John Ferrigia of the Rocky Mountain Public Broadcasting Service told the story of one family who was victimized and one FBI team that tracks down the abusers. And I wanted to tell you this because this was mind-blowing to me. No, Delphi is not, Pam, you're right. Delphi is not that far from Chicago. And you're right, John. It doesn't seem like it is. It seems like there is definitely a component to it, for sure. It is a disturbing issue, but one that is growing. The production of millions of pornographic images of sexually abused children that are uploaded from cell phones, webcams, and computers. This is the story of one family who was a victim and explores what you can do to protect your children. There was a mother named Beth, and she said, there was a card on our front door from the FBI. And immediately our hearts sank. We thought, why is the FBI contacting us? And John, the reporter, said, 7 years ago, Beth and her husband couldn't imagine what the FBI wanted, but they agreed to meet. Beth said, we believe that your son has been a victim of a crime. And Beth said, well, that's impossible. My son is at home. And he showed me the photos, and I immediately just broke down. And my husband broke down crying. What she saw was her 4-year-old son being sexually abused. The acts documented in still images and videos and uploaded to the internet. It had been going on for 2 years. He was 2 years old when he was first abused. And Beth said they asked us if we knew who the person was and where he could be located. And John, the reporter, said, did you? And Beth responded, I did. He actually was a family friend that we had known for a very long time. In fact, almost my entire life. It's your neighbor. It's your pastor. It's your teacher. It's your soccer coach. We have all had those types of people with kids, people without kids. FBI Special Agent Tina Forkas has been investigating internet child pornography in the Denver field office for more than 7 years. And I wish there was some magic profile where we could identify these people, she said, but there is not. It was Forkas, along with agents in Illinois, Missouri, Arizona, and Colorado, who were able to identify their son. Through their investigation, they discovered he had been a victim in a multi-state child porn ring, and the agents tracked down those who had sexually been abusing him for years. And the mother said, "My son was going to my dad's house. My dad also had some people that were helping him out and providing care for him and resources at his house. So he had no idea what was going on." And Beth said, "Absolutely not." The men, one married with 2 children and the other single, who had access to her son, were arrested and convicted. The break in the case came with the arrest of this man, Richard Franklin. He is a 50-year-old military veteran who lived in this quiet Denver neighborhood with his parents, who knew nothing about their son's criminal obsession. The FBI agent said you take a quick walk around the house and you immediately know, usually, who your suspect is, because it's the bedroom that has all the computers, all the keyboards. FBI photos from their search of the house show how Franklin closeted himself with his computers, where he could view images he collected of children being sexually abused. He had hundreds of thousands of images of videos of child pornography. Hundreds of thousands? Yes, hundreds of thousands. Franklin's images of sexually abused children stored on hard drives were being traded with like-minded predators all over the U.S. and some beyond. Franklin was advertising for child porn, receiving images, including those of Beth's son, and trading images from his collection. Franklin was convicted and received 100 years in federal prison. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, known as NCMEC, works with federal, state, and local law enforcement to identify children in photos who are being sexually abused. Here is how it works. Internet service providers like Google, Yahoo, and others monitor the billions of images and uploads of downloaded material with algorithms that search for possible child pornography. When it is detected, the providers review them and contact NCMEC, sending a sample image as well as information about the web server and address. It is then passed along to the FBI for possible investigation. We are able to run those images against known images that NCMEC has, and that may play a part in victim identification. Calvin Shivers is the special agent in charge of the FBI office in Denver, and he previously headed the Violent Crimes Against Children section at the FBI headquarters in Quantico. He says in Colorado, about 50% of child CSAM cases investigated are derived from tips from internet providers through the nonprofit. A lot of times when you get a general tip, there may not be enough information. But NCMEC, because of the experienced staff, they're able in some instances call additional information that may help the investigators. The number of tips compiled by the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children has exploded in recent years. In 2010, there were more than 213,000 tips involving child pornography, and in 2017, the number of tips was more than 10 million. 213,000 tips, and in 7 years, it went to 10 million. The number of cases that are happening is an avalanche. I mean, we just feel like we're dishing the ocean out with a spoon. Judy Smith is chief of the Cyber Crime and National Security section of the U.S. Attorney's Office in Denver. Nobody wants to know that this dark side of humanity exists, and just not exists, but the scope of it. Judy Smith says another growing concern involves increasingly younger kids who are carrying smartphones. They can take pictures of themselves. They can send those to their friends or somebody who they think are their friends. There are online predators out there who pose as young boys or girls and then entice or ask kids to self-produce pornography. This is exactly what Kagan Klein was arrested for, doing exactly what she just described. And FBI Special Agent Tina Forkas says once just one photo was sent by an unsuspecting child or teen to a predator posing online as another kid, as illustrated in this NCMEC training video, they can be blackmailed, or they're too embarrassed to say anything, so they continue to send them pictures. To emphasize the point, Forkas noted that while we're conversing on an upper floor of the FBI building in Denver, people are actively posting child pornography on one of my undercover computers downstairs. There's a little girl on that site. You can tell she's self-producing. I mean, she's holding the cell phone out. She's nude, and she's maybe 10 to 11 years old. And we're seeing this live on this site. Why is she taking pictures of herself? Where are her parents? You know, parents should be cognizant of what their children are doing on the internet and on their smartphones just across the board. An FBI special agent in charge, Calvin Shivers, says it goes beyond monitoring. Parents should also make sure that there's a good avenue for their children to communicate. And if they've had that conversation, that the children know that they can come to them. To your point, a lot of the victims do not feel that they can talk to their parents, and that causes them to be re-victimized over and over again. For Beth's son and for her family, ongoing therapy has brought them beyond trauma to hope. How does your son see his future? She said, he's very positive. He's also going to have this story to go with it that, you know, I dealt with this as a child, and look, here I am. And you can go through it too and survive. Beth and her family say they hope public discussion of this horrific crime will bring awareness and reduce the stigma for victims whose childhood photos often remain accessible on the internet, and that it will help victims and their families heal. I mean, just the fact alone that he was 2 years old when it started is horrific enough. But to know that it went on for 2 years and he was victimized this way is just crazy. It's just crazy. And it was somebody that the family knew and the family trusted. So I think one of the things that we can take away from Delphi, and that we should, as we're thinking about the murders of Abby and Libby, is that the boogeyman isn't always the boogeyman. We have in our minds conjured up these child predators as disgusting, horrible monster types, and really they're not. They could be your child's soccer coach, who you go and talk to at games. You may see them at Sunday school. You may go to barbecues with them. I mean, it's really quite crazy to think that that's the way we have to look at it, but it's the truth. It can be anybody. It can be anybody that's doing this. And it is unthinkable. So what does that mean for what we know about this case? We've talked about trafficking. We've talked about the fact that we could be looking at the case in the wrong way. Let's talk about what we know for sure. What is it that we know for sure? Well, we know that in 2017, the FBI raided Kagan's house just days after the murders. We know that they took out a lot of electronics, phones, tablets, computers. We know that going over this technology is not easy. There's a lot of things that people try to do to wipe their phones, wipe their computers, get rid of evidence. And we also know that Kagan Klein did that. He tried to get rid of evidence off of all of this. We also know that that they were looking at him very, very quickly after the murders of Abby and Libby. It tells me that something sent them there. And I think that they found out that he and Libby had been speaking. And I also wonder if we've all thought all along that they were on the wrong path, but they weren't. They've been on this path the whole time. They were just looking at the wrong person. Yes, Miss Thang, you're right. We also have a cell phone by one of the victims that was reset. I said all along I didn't feel that that was coincidental. I believe her phone was reset because whoever she was speaking to told her to do that. It's very, very plain to me that law enforcement is focusing on the Kleins. They're focusing on the Kleins for one of two reasons. Either the Kleins are responsible for these crimes, or the Kleins know who is responsible, and they may be protecting them. And there could be they didn't. There could be a reason why they didn't arrest him for 2 years. The very damning information that came off of those phones and those computers and tablets may not have been learned for that amount of time. Because what I'm trying to say here is it's not as easy as you think to get information from these software companies. We've talked about this before. I made a video about this, that it can take years of battle. Some of these companies are not willing to give up their subscribers' personal information because of fear of being sued for one and for protection of their customer. So a lot of times law enforcement has to go to court to get information. And that can take a while. You don't, just because you have to go to court doesn't mean that you can get into court and get it solved right away. So it can take a while, and these investigations take time. They are usually not something that is just solved just with a click and a snap and boom, they're done. They have to have all of the information mapped out It has to coincide with the timeline of the murder. And I've said for a long time that I think the timeline is part of our issue. We have to know exactly what the timeline is, and we don't. Law enforcement has never given us a timeline. The only timeline we have is from family. Law enforcement has given us partial timeline because they've told us about the video that Libby took. We know when the pictures were uploaded to Snapchat, and we know when the video, how long the video was, and where they were approximately on the bridge when that video was taken. Those are the things that we do know. But we don't know everything that we need to know. So when we don't, you know what they say, when there's a lack of information, and it's a void, people tend to fill that information with whatever. So Digital thinks that's the family of the sleepover, the one who also had the ski mask incident a week later. You think that's the connection with the the Kleins? We know they're connected because we know Kagan knew them. Kagan and Tony knew them, knew that family. So we already know there's a connection to the Kleins, to that family. But what is the connection to Bridge Guy? And we do know that at that sleepover, that the girls were talking to Anthony Schatz that night because Libby's friend talks about that. Ms. Thang says possibly both Kleins were doing this to Liberty and other girls online, and Kagan took it too far and worried Tony, so Tony silenced the girls. It's possible. Yes, SD, just a moment. I don't know what happened. There he is. There's Nightbot just put up my email address in chat for you, SD. Well, I think that JDR, I think we already know the answer to that because we know that Tony Klein was. Tony Klein was a voyeur. He was accused of that when he was in high school. And he was known to peek in windows. He was caught doing it. So we already know that. And if he's familiar with that family, and if he knew, hey, Unsolved Crimes, good to see you. And when you say that, I think they purposely hooked Libby up with the Anthony Schatz account. I think somebody wanted to get at Libby. What do you mean get at her? Do you think it was somebody who was wanting to meet her, hurt her? What? I'm not sure where you're going with that. Sorry, but my eye is really watering. always make sure that when you are cooking with onions, that you make sure that you get your hands good and clean because I think I have onion on my finger, made my eye water. So I did hear that there was a rumor that Libby was fighting with somebody, with one of her friends. She was in an argument over a boy. Now, whether it was Anthony Schatz or not, I don't know. But it's quite possible. Girls that age, it would not be out of the realm of girls arguing or fighting over boys. It's what they do. Okay. Let's see now. Has a police report ever been released of the ski mask incident? I don't know the answer to that. Has anybody does anybody out there know if we can find that? I think it goes back to you have to know the family's name, and that information was redacted off of the information that the murder sheet published. Oh boy, I know that to be a true. I remember well how teenage girls were most sure. I think we all do, right? We all remember that. I have often felt that. I mean, I've had that as one of my scenarios regarding what may have happened because I've often heard since very early on, just soon after the murders, that Libby was supposedly going to go to law enforcement. She knew something and she was going to go to law enforcement. Now, if that's just a rumor that's out there, it could be. I don't know. But I just, I mean, I've heard a number of different things, and there's a lot of speculation out there. There's speculation that Libby went with Becky when she did the appraisal at the Flora house, and that she talked with Kiana that day. And there's just, I don't know. There's just a lot of different things that are floating around out there, but they're rumor. We don't know that they're true. So sure, we could go down those rabbit holes, but again, it's just a possibility. Marlo Mack says that the more they think about it, it's the most plausible motive. Which was the sleepover and the girls fighting. Yeah, I know it is digital. I just don't want to repeat it. I know the family name. I know all of that, but I just don't want to put it out there. But if you do know it, you could go and try to find on my case to see if there was a police report made or if there was charges filed or anything. I don't think they filed charges because I don't think they knew, right? Isn't that what we're led to believe? That he was never identified, the person in this mask? Mrs. Melodramatic says she knows it was mentioned in the transcripts, and I know there was a mention on a Facebook group at some place. That being said, I know police are allowed to lie and small towns have rumor mills. There is so much rumor around these cases, and I don't want to throw shade on Facebook groups, but from everything that I've garnered around Facebook groups, the only Facebook group I'm in is one that has the family in it. And there's no drama in that one. It's a very quiet group. We post, but it's a very quiet place. And most of the others are not. From what I understand, they're volatile, drama-filled, crazy-filled places. And even the guy that Murder Sheet interviewed today said the same thing about Facebook. So I don't hold a lot of what happens in the Facebook groups as factual. It's just me. January 28th of 2017 is when they ruled Flora arson. Why would the Kleins be covering for someone? They would be covering for someone because they're scared to death of this person. He's a double murderer, and they're fearful for their own lives. I am not saying anything about the guy on the bridge. I'm talking because I think that's relative. We all see different things in the guy on the bridge, about who we think that is or what we think he looks like. To me, we don't have enough video of the guy on the bridge to tell who it is. I don't know what Tony and Kagan actually looked like at the time. We've seen pictures of them, but a picture is different. You have to realize that in photographs and in videos, people look larger than they are. Everybody I know has said, I hate to see photographs of me because I always look larger, heavier, whatever, than I truly am. The camera adds age, it adds time, it adds weight. So you can't go by that. One of the things that I feel about the sketches in this case is that they've done more harm than good. So, hey, Audra Baugh. Good to have you. Thank you. Please don't use all caps. YouTube doesn't like all caps. So, welcome. So, like I said, there's a lot of things that we don't know about this case. There's a lot of things that we do know. And those affidavits that came out, we have to go by those. I mean, you just have to, same digital, same. I think we have to go with what law enforcement tells us. Law enforcement tells us they're looking at the Kleins. That was the last information we had from them. And we're going to have to stick with that until we find out something. Oh, you're fine, Audra. You're totally fine. Just want to let you know. Our bot in here doesn't like it, and they might kick you. So I just wanted to make sure you were aware. No problem. But, and that's just one of the things that I think about when I look at this case and where we're headed. You know, was this just some guy that, knew about them and went out there that day, possibly to sexually assault them or whatever, and then everything went bad? Or was this an actual trafficking situation where there's a trafficking ring that's operating in and around Delphi and they targeted them? And it was, see, I think it was so well organized, the crime, that this cannot possibly be just some old whatever they are going out there and trying this. This person or persons who did this crime it's a very organized killer. It was planned. It was thought out. Maybe something did go wrong with their plan that day because we don't know for sure exactly. If they were there to kidnap and traffic, they would not have wanted to kill them. So one of the things that got brought up in the murder sheet interview with their investigator, just like us type of investigator, because he's not an investigator. He's just somebody who follows the case. He said, it's brought up in the Ron Logan search warrant. They were looking for weapons and they were looking for guns. And why would he be looking for guns? Do we know? Well, if they're looking for guns, it's most likely they believe that he had a gun. And I think all of us came to that conclusion after watching over and over and over the video on the bridge, that bridge guy has a gun of some sort. And I've often wondered if he used it as a blunt force object and he hit one of the girls with it. Now, if he did that, that could also likely leave enough of a wound that they could tell depending on how the person was hit. But I've often wondered if that was, because that would be a way to quickly incapacitate someone by using the gun, the butt of the gun. So we know that there's a sharp instrument that was used. They were looking for that. We know the crime scene was bloody, so more than likely a stabbing occurred of some sort with some sort of a sharp object. And I agree with this too. She thinks the Kleins are connected, but they may not realize they know the person that is responsible for the murders. They may very well know, but in my opinion, this may be a lair. And I agree. They may know him, but not really realize they know him. And that could be the case as well. And Alicia says she thinks he did hit one of the girls. I also think they won't release cause of death because they aren't sure which killed one of the girls. Yeah, it's possible. I think we may, or like Perry told us in his last video when he was talking about opportunity, we may never ever find out all of the things we want to know. Depending on how the case ends up being adjudicated, if they get Bridge Guy, and I should say when, because I do believe it's coming. When they capture Bridge Guy and they bring him to trial, if he decides to plead out and admit his guilt or whatever to forego a trial, we may never know. They may close some of this stuff and we'll never know for a long time, if ever, what actually happened. So we do need to be prepared for that possibility of that happening. But I definitely like the ideas that you guys are talking about with the sleepover, because I definitely think that could be part of it. whatever transpired at the sleepover. But I'm here to tell you, I know that there's a lot of things going around now. People are talking a lot on other platforms about, if it was a fight with them between her and another girl, there was not a bunch of teenagers that went out there and committed this crime that day. That's not what happened in Delphi. I just don't believe that. That's my opinion, guys. Don't throw me under the bus. I'm just looking over some of the comments, guys. Trying to see what you guys are all talking about. One of the things that I wanted to, I'm going to share with you guys tonight. I had forgot to put it up on the screen earlier. From now on, you guys, if you want to ask a question of me, put #ask in your comment. And that will help me to see if there's a question that you have for me. Hey, everyone. Hi, everyone who's joining. Thank you so much for supporting Behind the Crime Door. We certainly welcome you all. Please make sure that you subscribe and like my videos and hit the bell so that you get notified whenever I go live. Hi, Jennifer. Jennifer's working on Nightbot, I think. I think Jennifer's in there working on Nightbot. Hi, Bobby. I agree with you. This was a mature person that did this. Yep, they did do that. They did. You are so right, Dave Deanne. Law enforcement told Kagan right to his face they didn't think he did it, but they felt he knew who did it. And I do believe that it's come down to an alibi situation. We've talked about it before, but I definitely think that they need to break an alibi. I've had a lot of people email me this week after I did the show about Delphi and Evansdale and the similarities, wanting me to cover Zion, Illinois' case. So I am going to be covering that next on Thursday, just so you guys have a heads up, just so that we get all of them, because they all are very, very similar. And I think we need to look at that one for sure. I'm in Illinois, and I know of that case very well, but I know there's similarities between Elizabeth and Lyric, and we went over those. And it's easy to get to go down those paths because there's so many things that are similar. And whenever you're investigating a crime, for those of us that are in this genre and we consider ourselves investigators to some degree, or at least knowledgeable of how investigations are supposed to go, you have to look at everything. You have to look at everyone. I will say this, and I'm just going to put it back out there to everyone who it may be new to my channel so that they understand. I am 100% behind the families in this case. I will not allow anyone to disparage them in any way. They have been through so much already. It is not my place to question them. It is not my place to accuse them. It is not my place to do that. I am not law enforcement. That's law enforcement's place to do that. That is not ours. And it bothers me so much that people continue to, hold on a second. Laura Hobbs and Crystal Tobias. Now, getting back to what I was trying to say. This past Saturday, Kelsey was married. Kelsey suspended or made private, basically, her Twitter account. She is still posting on her Instagram account, but I'm here to tell you, she took so much crap right before her wedding and so much horrible things said about her. I just can't say enough how upsetting that is to me. I will not put up with that in my channel. People who are in my channel know this. And so do I, Jennifer. And I follow her on Instagram as well. And I just want everyone to know that this is not how people should behave. This is not what we're here for. And it saddens me that she had to do that. It saddens me that she had to stop posting things because every word she says was either taken out of context or read into things. And I'm going to say something else. I was recently following a YouTuber who I thought was really doing some great videos. I really was impressed with the videos. And then they did a video disparaging Kelsey. And I'm just like, it's not okay. It's not okay. And I'm not going to stand for it. She was the absolute most beautiful bride. I mean, unbelievable. Her pictures that she's shared on Instagram are incredible. And I made a congratulatory post on my community page, and I purposefully didn't post a picture of her because that's up to her to do. If she wants to share her wedding photos, that'll be up to her to do. I don't want to put them out there like that for her. But I'm just here to tell you she was an absolute beautiful bride, and her and Caleb looked very happy. And I'm so glad that they were able to have that moment together. And it's just crazy to me how people think that they can take these family members and just throw them under the bus. Like, you don't think the FBI has looked and looked and looked at this family? You don't think the FBI has looked at their friends? You don't think that the FBI is involved in this case, you guys? It's not just the Carroll County Sheriff's Department. We all have issues with them. We're here to say, but this family has been looked at. That's the number one thing they do. They look at the families first. Mike Patty, Cody Patty have airtight alibis. They have looked at these people. It's not the family. So I'm just tired. It's the same with Ron Logan. What I thought was interesting when the murder sheet released the Ron Logan search warrant, what got me about that was how the news media, not us, not the YouTubers, but the news media went absolutely bonkers. And some of their news reports were like, they put the murder sheet, for God's sake, to New York on the Today Show or wherever they took them to. Like, they broke the case. Are you kidding me? Broke the case. Do you think this case has been broken? It's just sad. And, Kelsey's been through a lot, and I'm going to support her every step that I can. I am. Like I said, I'm just going to be that voice for her. I've promised her that. I've sent her many messages telling her that I have her back, and I do. And there's the naysayers out there who will, tomorrow there'll be a post about me somewhere on Reddit or somewhere. And, I don't care anymore because I don't get involved in that drama. But I do want all the new people that are here in my channel to understand that. I just, what, Tech Death? Anybody that starts picking at you over your music needs to come see me. I had some lady make a comment about my music on the Evansdale show, and I'm just like, you know what? If you don't like the music, turn it off. Go to some other channel. People are critical. I just love how critical people are. And it's like, are you sitting here trying to do what I do? Do you put yourself out there, your real self, covering, horrific stories that are true? These are real people that we talk about. They're real victims. They're real families that are hurting. Do you do this? But it's so easy for them to criticize and comment and make horrible comments about you or about what you're covering. And it's sad. And I wanted to say that tonight because it is, I don't know, it's just really, yeah, Jennifer, you're probably right. They're probably insecure, jealous people. I do pray for those kind of people. But it does, it does after a while, you do have to kind of step away a little bit and just take a deep breath. And that's why I figured out that it's really good for me to cover Delphi and then to cover other cases. Because we do get a different breed around Delphi. Even other YouTubers talk about it on their lives, how their lives explode when you talk about Delphi versus if you bring up some other case that maybe somebody hasn't heard of. Nobody wants to hear about that one as much. But when Delphi is on, it's crazy. And everybody's been really good. My moderators here are fabulous. I can't say enough about all of you. You really have my back with that. And we don't have that here. For the most part, we have been really lucky. Hoosier, I didn't see that. There was that one show that kept saying Murder Sheet wrong. I do remember that. That was, I think it was the Fox 59 when they were calling them somebody else. What they call them? I can't remember. The media really did run with Ron Logan stuff. They did. I mean, it was crazy. And I'm just like, Ron Logan did not commit this murder. He did not do this. I do not believe that for 1 second. Oh, Jennifer, you're so nice. Thank you so much. I try to be respectful and I try to be kind because you know what? That's how I want to be treated. And I always was told, my grandmother always told me to treat other people the way you want to be treated and your life will be fuller and richer for it. The murder shift. Murder street. Those that get the trolls are the mean YouTubers. Yeah, well, we know who some of those are. Thank you, country girl. We love Tech Death here. And yeah, his music is always welcome here on my channel. And like I said, he's putting together a little concert show for us. And we're going to have a show of just Tech Death's music, and Gonzo will be here, and Hoosier, and whoever else wants to play with them. Because that's what I want. I want to have that. I think it'd be great. It gives them exposure. Tech Death's he's very, very talented. He's, he just super is. And so, yeah. Yes, unfortunately, Jennifer, we do know. That is the truth. Hoosier, it's true. I get comments. I go through my comments every day. It takes me a while sometimes. And sometimes I just hit them with kindness. And basically if I don't even like it, I won't give it a heart or a like. I'll just comment and reply, thank you for watching. I don't know what else to say to them. So I've just, positivity is better than being negative. So I'm not going to bring negative back to their negative and get into a argument on comments on my stuff. I just made up my mind that's not worth it. But anyway, guys, it's been a couple of hours, so I'm going to get off here and give my voice a rest. I think you guys are wonderful. What about friend 1 and friend 2? Which friends are we talking about? Lynn? What is the friend 1 and friend 2 we're talking about? If you can elaborate. Is that like thing 1 and thing 2? But you guys are great. You guys have made these last 5 months. I'm just finishing my fifth month. Let's see. Yeah, my 5th month. I had to think. So I'm just finishing my 5th month on my channel. And oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure, Lynn. Those friends. Very possible. Very possible those are Kagan's friends. And they could be involved. You just have to keep going and moving forward. And you guys make my channel what it is. without all of you watching and coming, really wouldn't, I don't think I'd been continuing to do this for 5 months. But I love it and I look forward to it. And I really want to do more different cases and get us into some other cases that we can look at. But you know, it's Delphi is my heart. It's really, I know, I can't believe it's been 5 months either, Jennifer. 5 months. Where does time go? It's crazy. It is crazy. Corgi Mama, thank you so much. I so appreciate you. Thank you so, so much. Anyone who donates or gives any time to my channel, I appreciate all my moderators. They do this for the goodness of, out of the goodness of their heart, to be here and help me. Jennifer is top of the line. She takes care of my bot. She helps me with ideas and things to improve my channel. And I'm here to tell you, you guys are you just rock. That's all I can say. And I appreciate you all so much. So I hope you all have a good evening. Has a murder investigation. Oh yeah, Digital. They started a murder investigation right after the fire was deemed arson. They're looking for a suspect, supposedly. So, but I appreciate everyone that's here, and keep plodding along, keep thinking about the girls. Try to remember the things from the very beginning. If you don't remember some of those, I've got a really good video on the beginning of Delphi. Go watch that. Oh, Miss Thang, please do. And if you send that to me, if you email that to me, Miss Thang, I will put it up. I will make a layover that I can lay over my screen with the information for the ride in July, so that we can promote it on my channel, because I have no problem doing that, and I'll make it so that I can do it in the community post as well. Lipsha, thank you so much. I certainly appreciate that. You guys are so awesome. Because, yeah, there is, just so you guys know, there is a memorial ride in July, and Miss Thang wants us to all be aware of it. So we want everybody to know about that. But anyway, you guys take care. And everyone, I will see you next time. Bye now.